Hi, everybody. This is Cathy Homeyer. Welcome to Nutritional Energetics and my program of Nourishing in the 9 Dimensions. I'm here with Stacey Nye today. Hi, Stacey.
Hi there. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today. This is great.
Oh, of course. And Stacey knows how much I love her modality, which is the F.I.X code. And we're going to explain that in just a bit as well. But what I'm going to do, first of all, is run through my vision of nourishing in the 9 dimensions. And I'm actually going to ask a question. Does anybody know what a crop circle has to do with the 9 dimensions? And people speculate a lot how crop circles are made and all that sort of thing. And I've been following this one reference for my whole program for years. It's by Barbara Handclough, and it was called Alchemy of 9 Dimensions. And I would read that every year on vacation and come out with more and more and more. I'm like, wait a minute, I can relate that to what I do in the kitchen, which sounds strange too, but that's how I look at it in nourishing. So let me go through this without trying to make it too long. So the way I look at the 9 dimensions, the first dimension basically is numbers. You have the architecture, the template to work off from. And we can do this in terms of, since we're talking crop circles, we can do this in terms of the earth, but I also relate it to the body. And we'll go into that too. So the earth is the iron core crystal. So we've got the iron core crystal of the earth. The second dimension is up to 3D layer, which is the, the basically core layer of the earth. So you've got the earth spinning with this iron core, hitting the minerals and crystals. So that's where you start to create your spiral to bring down the energies from above. So then you've got the 3D layer, and then we've got a 4D canopy that is archetype. And for humans, it's the emotional blanket that trying to get through those layers of energy. Above that, we have 5D, which is heart-centered, which is it's a topic all its own, of course. 60 are the geometric forms, and that is when you bring light and sound down through from source. So 9D for me is source, and I also teach Qigong and how to charge your battery with source energy so that you can connect all these dots and make all these bridges into 3D where you're manifesting your health or whatever else. Health to me is most important. So you're bringing down, so you've got source energy, bringing down light and sound. You've got the spiral coming up from the earth, and here you create on 3D in terms of crop circles, you create a crop circle. Because that light and sound is forming the geometric form, those different frequencies, you form the geometric form that you want on Earth. So that's how I relate crop circles to this. So in terms of the F.I.X code, talking about the body, our iron core crystal is our blood. We have iron in our blood, it's a crystal as well. Second dimension is the microbiome, which I work with energetically, as well as making kefir and kombucha to make nutrients, actual matter nutrients, bioavailable. You've got our 3D body, which I also work on block therapy and opening up the 3D body, the space in your body that's gotten all kind of twisted and restricted and everything, and where the emotions get stuck as well. That can be an emotional release all itself. Above that, you've got the 4D, again, that gooey canopy that you're trying to get through to keep your whole column going, your whole 18-inch column going. And a lot of times they show crop circles in terms of like it's a tube of light, and we're our own 18-inch tube. So the F.I.X code, Stacey, is where I find that coming into my program, going, okay, if we're stuck right there, and we may be stuck in different, but we're stuck right there, and this is a thing that also both Stacey and others have taught me. It's in the experience. You just have to do it. Yep. It's not you have to do the process. It's the process. Now, Stacey and I just did a couple before we even got on here because I'm like, oh, I'm doing this. And she goes, okay, magic question, and there we go. And it's the experience. You have to not just go, oh, well, I'll do that someday. And it's not like an energy process that that others do. It's very unique. So why don't I let you talk about the F.I.X code and how that works in your world?
Well, thank you. I basically look at the F.I.X code as an ancient ascension tool. So we are at the ascension process. We are here. So we're looking at going from that 3-dimensional into that 4th, 5th, right? So being that through my experience, which it's on my website if you're interested in going through or finding out what happened to me in understanding why this really is an ancient ascension tool, because I was told it literally was an ancient ascension tool. But it is now here for us to be able to remove and extract these horrible lower level vibrations that in this technique we call parasite. Again, I know that many of you are coming to this webinar or presentation. This is not like a food parasite, or it's not like that. This is a metaphorical thing that we have called a parasite that we can extract through this technique. And I love, thank you, Cathy, that this is a very practical, you actually do something to extract the horrible lower level vibrations that we can call negative emotions or fears. We are building the decisions course, so we're really excited about that, because that is a massive chunk of why we are stuck in this three-dimensional space and trying to get through that goo, right? Because the horrible lower level vibrations are keeping us believing that we're afraid of something, or that we feel a certain way. Not that our feelings aren't valid, they totally are, I get that. But through this technique, and we've proven over and over and over again, Cathy's part of our proof, is that as we do this technique, which takes 5 minutes, each extraction, 5 minutes, it feels like a guided meditation. It's very non-invasive. It's, not talk therapy. There's no gadgets or anything like that. As we do this extraction, you no longer feel that horrible lower level vibration. Now, where I find the magic comes in, there's lots of science behind this, and the creator and founder, Daniel Fleer, there's lots of science. Cathy's taken this technique, this course. She knows the science. There's a lot there, the quantumness of this technique. That as these things are pulled out of us, okay, fear of failure, let's say, as we extract these horrible lower level vibrations through this technique, we no longer feel that way. We no longer feel the fear. We no longer feel that terror or trauma or shock or any of the horrible things that we've gone through as humans to get here. As we extract these, not only does the feeling disappear, but the memories that were attached no longer come up for no reason. Again, there's a huge science part to understanding all of that, but I'm more interested in the magic, because in the moment, this technique works so effortlessly at removing and extracting that horrible lower level vibration that is keeping us in the 3-dimension, right? That is stopping us from ascending. And also, too, those horrible memories are no longer coming up and going into what we call the grand illusion, which is that loop, that crazy loop that we go into when we feel either embarrassed or a fear of failure, or I'm not a good mom, or all sorts. There's thousands of these horrible feelings and fears, that are out there that we feel sometimes on a daily basis. So yeah, this technique, I'm very proud to be a part of it. And it's helping people all over the world in a very quick and efficient and elegant. I find this very elegant technique and very graceful technique. There's no stories. There's no revealing your worst fear or your worst embarrassing moment, or who did what to you or why anything happened. This technique really is no content. As Cathy can attest, and please, if any of you want to try this, Cathy is a practitioner, so please dive into her nine-dimensional program, because inside that, the F.I.X code is in there. So please, book an appointment with Cathy and try this. It's very, very exciting.
And Stacey, I think going through this a lot with you and seeing others too, it's a thing that I could even do it with, well, say my son, who he's not going to tell me what he's thinking, but I'm like, just try this for a minute, just try. And it takes it's like sit down, just a few minutes. He doesn't have to tell me anything. It's like you said, it's more of a guided meditation, but you don't have to visualize. It's very simple to do. But what I really love about this is it's not, and what Stacey's created as well is, like, if I feel like something's stuck, or I can call Stacey and go, hey, you got a minute? And then as practitioners, we can just take this, use this as like in the moment, no, this isn't going to stick, it needs to leave sort of thing, so that we're clearing ourselves more and more, instead of actually getting to a lot of the past ones, we're like, no, this isn't going to stick. We're not letting this go, or we're not letting this stick. So it's kind of real time clearing.
Correct.
As it does the past and the present. It can look at, because you're looking at whether when you find your code, you look at before, during, or after birth, and the memories that I didn't even know were in there that I've gone to. Crazy. I'm like, wow,
Oh,
I haven't thought of that memory for years. And some of them I've even I didn't even know that was in there. Wow.
absolutely. And I'm finding it's so exciting too that we're also healing and our ancestral past through this technique without question. And anybody that's tried this technique knows, because as you're going through this experience, even if and it's 5 minutes, you can feel the ancestral healing happening. And not when you're healing that ancestral past, you're healing the past, the present, and the future. Because once it's healed in the past, it's all the way through. And the way the technique runs you through from there till now, it is all cleared.
Mhm.
And you've now changed the future. Because the trauma or the inherited birthright, or all, there's lots of different ways that people experience and feel that they're stuck with their grandmother's health, or this technique breaks all of those traumas and ancestral past, so that not only are you healing there, you're also healing in the future.
Because you hear a lot of people go, oh, well, I have this, but my family's always had that, whether
Yeah.
it's cancer or something else. It's like, well, it runs in the family. Well, yeah, that's how people kind of relate to what they see happening with themselves, in relating to, oh, well, it's not that it's not their fault. It's not a fault thing. But it's like, oh, it runs in the family, so there's nothing we can do about it. And in many cases, you can.
This technique, yeah, and this technique removes it very, very quickly and does the healing inside the system.
Right.
Like inside the 5 minutes, the entire lineage is healed.
Mhm.
And it's in the future, because it's no longer there. Therefore, everything from that moment on into the future doesn't have that programming. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And I was just thinking as we're talking here, Stacey, a lot of things happen in conversation, is that I tell people about the 18 inches, and the F.I.X code is happening in the 18 inches and taking it out of it. It's
yes,
taking it out of your space.
yes,
So,
and we are bigger than these physical bodies. So the F.I.X code also, by nature of it being us, also pulls out from that aura space too. So it's also your environment. It's also your space. So what we find with people that use this technique is that their environment also becomes so much calmer. Yeah. And also, as Cathy, one of the first things I do teach is how to do this for yourself.
Yeah.
So that the healing starts with you. Even though the online training, because we do have an online training, you can be a part of this very effortlessly. It's literally like a click of a button, and you're in the system, and you are downloaded into your computer the entire course right away. And you can either study it on your own, or you can come to a weekend retreat. There's all sorts of different ways to learn this, and with lots of support. But that I am very excited about that part of our puzzle, is being able to teach this for the individual that's right in front of me, to be able to do this for themselves and be able to heal themselves first. So the mask goes on, the mask goes on you first. You take care of you first, as you keep healing and removing these horrible lower level vibrations. As you expand into this new space and this new sense of freedom and confidence, and you're no longer angry, you don't feel overwhelmed anymore, you don't feel hurt, you don't feel betrayed, all of these great things that you no longer feel. And all of a sudden, within a very short period of time, your kids are getting more, better behaved, they're eating more calm, and all that's happened is you've healed you. And once that, and again, this is something that you will have for yourself forever, because it's in your mind. You don't need to stop. Well, I would suggest don't do this while you're driving. Don't do this while you're driving. But while you're falling asleep, while you're in the shower, while you're cooking, this is something that you are able to do for yourself at any time, anywhere, except for really driving, a big vehicle of any kind, because it's that non-invasive. It's work that you do in your mind. And the more you clear yourself, the more your world gets calmer. And then once you really have got yourself in that centered space, I feel that that's when people turn outward and start helping others, which is pretty incredible. And Cathy, as you've done the certification, helping people with this technique you're in awe, because it's like, really? Like, I've known you your whole life. Like with your son, for example, you're like, I've known you your whole life. I've never seen you feel this way. You know,
Mhm.
after the extraction, it's like everyththing's changed for him like that, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Some of it is totally immediate. You go, wait a minute, that really? Yeah,
Yes.
things happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing.
And we always laugh because within 10 minutes, we totally forget the name of the code that we did that was sending us into meltdown, or we wanted to, like, hurt somebody or scream at somebody or what, and all of a sudden 5 minutes out, right after the extraction, we can't even remember what we were mad about, or we can't recall the feeling because it's gone. And it is incredible. It really is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Stacey, before we do anything else, why don't you tell people how to contact you?
Absolutely. So our website is www.thefixcode.com. You're also welcome to, navigate your way through there. There's a gift button that if you'd like to try this for free as a gift with me, that's great. If not, please call Cathy. She's your girl. If you have any questions about the online training and learning how to do this for yourself and your clients, because your clients are going to love this. They will literally start asking you for this because this is a very specific technique for lower level vibrations. All the other modalities that Cathy is a master at do all other sorts of things too. This one is really specific in what we do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's nothing about this that's like Qigong or like nothing. This is
Mm-hmm.
totally its own thing. So it can be wrapped up in so many other different packages. So my goal is to help as many people as I can with this technique and teach as many practitioners and healers out there how to do this so that you can add it into exactly what Cathy's doing, her bigger picture, that holistic healing environment that she gets to take all of her modalities and put them all together to help you through all the dimensions, through all of these different modalities. Like, that just so excites me. So my mission is to teach as many Cathys in the world how to do this, to add it into their own practices. So that when your client comes in and says, I'm blocked, I'm stuck, I can't get through this, or can't stop crying, or I'm hurt, and you hear all of these lower level vibration codes, you pull out the F.I.X code and let's go. And it takes 5 minutes.
Yeah, because a lot of times that emotional trigger is the key to
Absolutely.
filling in the blanks to that, to the
Yeah, like I'll make this
connection.
up. I'll make this up and I'll exaggerate this, like I'll blow this weight out of proportion to make my point. Let's say somebody comes to Cathy and says, I'm afraid that food poisons me. I'm afraid of eating because I'm afraid of being poisoned by food or pesticide, whatever it is. Okay. And they're so frightful that they won't eat, or they're eating very little. Okay. It doesn't matter how much Cathy teaches them about good nutrition, their fear is still running the show. Even though they have this phenomenal knowledge, all of the things that Cathy has taught them, the fear is bigger. So Cathy pulls out the F.I.X code and says, okay, so you're making pictures of the future going wrong. And the client says, yeah, I'm afraid of being poisoned by food. And she's like, great, close your eyes. Bam, 5 minutes later, the fear is gone. Now Cathy's client gets to look at Cathy and go, wow, everything that you've taught me, I now finally understand and I can apply it because I'm no longer afraid that the food is going to poison me. It's not just her food, it's any food. So she was depleting herself from nutrition, from love, from all sorts of different things out of that fear of receiving nutrients, out of receiving food, okay? Out of the fear of being poisoned. So
Yeah, and both physical and etherical, both physical and frequency wise.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the F.I.X code is physical and etheric. It's for us, it's almost the same. It's the same thing because these things live in that 18 inches, right? Out and in our aura. They live there. They mess with us. They change our neural pathways. They change how our physical body feels. So the moment this fictitious client pulls this fear out through the F.I.X code technique and it's gone from everything, her neural pathways, her memories, her physical body, all of it, so that she now can move forward into all the other things that Cathy has already taught her, but she couldn't do. And now all the things that Cathy gets to teach her in the future because she's not afraid of being poisoned. So this is how the F.I.X code plays into a practitioner or healer or a magic chef that creates magic food that allows your people to thrive at a level that they've never even dreamt of.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting. On one of the on Facebook, I had shared something, and somebody said, "Yeah, I was in one of your programs, But there was something odd. I could never quite connect. And I'm like, okay, that's why. She was stuck right there with one of the codes. So I'm going to reach out to her and say, you know what? We know you're stuck, that you didn't get the rest or somehow connect with parts of it. Maybe she got like the top dimensions or not the bottom, I don't know which, but that's a great example of saying, yeah, there was a block right there. So you can't get the crop circle.
That's right, because they stopped inside that fear, and then you totally lost them. And this is how we do this with children. Like any kind of learning disability that has ever come my way, and I've worked with thousands of people in the last 10 years, and many of them learning disabilities. So moms, find me because their hearts are broken or they've been betrayed or they're hurt, those kinds of things. And then it automatically comes out after the mom is feeling so good. She says, well, my little one, she's really struggling with, she's got a learning disability, I'm like, bring her over, so next thing I know, I've got this little person in front of me, and it's usually fear of failure, or fear of like making a fool of themselves, or fear of speaking out, or being embarrassed, okay, being called out in class, all those kinds of things. So it's not a learning disability, it's that the fear pops in and then they can't think. So you lose the child on every other instruction for the rest of the day because the child is panicked or mortified or just wants to like curl up in the library and never be found again, okay? Whatever goes through the child's mind, it's not a learning disability. Because the moment we do these fears with these children, marks go flying through the roof because it has nothing to do with how brilliant these children are. It's that they were the fear got triggered because the teacher called on them, or, have you ever been called, in a group of people, and you're caught off guard, like you're put on the spot? This is one of my favorite ones, that feeling being put on the spot, because the dynamic, the symptoms of being put on the spot, what happens is you go blank. And then you're standing there going, I know the answer, say it. Like, why can't I just say the answer? And yet you're standing there totally dumbfounded going, and the person that asked you the question was like, why are you acting like that? Like, this answer, but you feel put on the spot. The moment we remove through the F.I.X code, the feeling put on the spot, that'll never happen to you again. So imagine being a child with that fear, being put on the spot. You're walking through class like this, you're trying to hide, you're trying not to, definitely, if you're a sparkly child and you're in class, you're not going to be sparkly. So now you start to dampen your sparkle. As adults do, we do that. If you have that fear of being put on the spot, or that fear of being centered out, or fear of being embarrassed, of not having the right answer, not being smart enough. I mean, I could go on forever. But the moment I get my hands on these little guys, no, and the teachers, I live in a smaller town, so they're like, what happened? And the mom says, I sent her to Stacey, and it took 20 minutes. You don't need to work with, you don't need to work for a long time on kids. They're pretty like straight up with how they feel. But as adults, we have the same thing. So you actually have somebody in your life right now that loves your content, but you lose them at a certain spot because the fear kicks in, whatever that is. And there's no judgment in this technique, I can promise you that. So it really is in the moment. But yes, if you're a practitioner and you've got clients that are right in front of you that you can't get them past a certain spot because there's a block or a fear or a horrible feeling, and they cave in on you every time you hit this particular topic, this is the one you want to have in your practice right now, because it's non-invasive. They don't need to talk about it. They don't need to tell you why they're hurt or who hurt them or who did what or who said what. We don't ask any of those invasive questions. There's no digging down deep into the content in this technique at all. And Daniel used to say to me years ago, and it is a very accurate statement. He said, I can meet a stranger, and in 5 minutes, I can help them with the biggest problem they have in their life without ever knowing a thing about them. And it's true. With the magic question, they tell you what it is, and bam, in 1 or 2 words. And 5 minutes. And I've seen him do this. We've been at, where he's public speaking and that kind of thing, where people, total strangers, will come up to him and kind of be like, can you prove it? And he's like, absolutely. And he asks the magic question, and he's doing this in front of hundreds of people. So it's fantastic. It's a really, really, I think it's an awesome little technique to have in your back pocket.
Well, it's simple. I mean, to recap, it's simple, it's quick. People don't have to tell you their story. It can get past triggers as well as something that, like, I've gone to Stacey and gone, oh my God, one of my kids yelled at me. And I go, oh my God, but it just doesn't stick. So it's like, okay, Don, it wasn't, it's not a fault thing. It's not a whatever. It was just a weird thing that happened, and got through it, and it didn't stick with me. So yeah, really cool stuff.
So yes, I would be privileged to teach as many practitioners out there and healers out there this technique, to be able to add to this technique into the existing practices of all of you amazing people out there, because I'm just one piece of the puzzle. So if I can help the bigger piece, I'm in. But yeah, give me a call, book a free session with me or Cathy, and ask questions about the training. We've actually, we do right now in the world that we're in, we do weekend retreats online in Zoom, so it's a full weekend of learning the technique, of learning the science. And you also always get the online training. So you will have the science and the technique in your system, in your computer forever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Stacey. Well, we could talk, you and I can talk forever about this stuff, but we'll let everybody go. But yeah, no, thanks so much, because I'm looking for a way to, like you're saying, in my full program, I'll call it full program because each one is a little piece on its own. But this one is really a key piece. I mean, this one I can't see not putting in every little project I do, because you're looking at how to, the cliche, how to remove the blocks or the triggers. To me, this also relates to another thing that I do in how the trigger relates to creating those symptoms as well, those physical symptoms. And it's really, I won't get into that now, but it's really, really interesting. That's what drew me to the F.I.X code. I'm like, oh, there's the trigger. There's how to get rid of that trigger that is causing,
the technique removes from the unconscious mind and the physical body.
Right.
So the physical health, we all know, like anybody that's experienced the F.I.X code for any length of time, even like a week, knows that their physical body is already feeling better. Yeah, because these things do wake up when the trigger goes off. These things wake up and they tax the physical body. They're wrapped around our nervous system. So when these things are gone, that stops.
Right.
So we've had people heal from incredible illness, incredible, and things that don't have like a remedy, or they don't have a solution yet in the world for these things. They came to us. We didn't know that they had these medical issues, and within a couple of weeks, they were gone. We can't claim that it was us by any means, but all we know is that we're thrilled that they no longer have those things.
Right. Yeah, which is always our goal anyway. So.
Always, yes, absolutely. And your biggest heart-centered is health, and all of the different ways that we can create that and have that in our lives.
Yeah. So, well, Stacey, like I said, we could talk forever, but we'll stop here. And thanks for joining me and being a part of what I consider a real big piece to my program, a real big piece for clients to shoot off from. So
my pleasure, because if it weren't for you, I would have nothing to do. You are the ones that are getting this out there, and I am so blessed and honored to be in all of your presences, because you guys are out there doing the hard work, the big lifting, and you're in front of the clients all day, and you're teaching such a bigger piece of the puzzle, and I'm just so blessed to be a little part of that. So thank you.
Awesome. Okay, well, we will chat later, I am sure. So thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Thank you.
Everybody.